What's up? Happy Monday to you guys. It's me, your boy Ryan Flowers, aka Clutch Sports Talk, in the house with another Monday edition of Clutch Sports Talk Live with me, Ryan Flowers. Man, it's the NFL draft week. I am super pumped. I'm excited. Can't wait till Thursday night. So guess what? We're going to be talking a lot about the NFL tonight. I'm going to be talking about the Miami Dolphins and what should they do with their 6th overall pick. Should they go out and get another quarterback, or should they get some weapons to surround Tua? Also, I want to be talking about Lamar Jackson. Could he be possibly replaced by the Baltimore Ravens? Should the Ravens move up and maybe get a quarterback, one of the best quarterback classes we've seen in recent drafts? Also, the New England Patriots, there's some rumors going around that they might want to sneak up into the top 10 to maybe go out and get one of these quarterbacks. And also the Kansas City Chiefs just traded for Orlando Brown this past weekend, and to help really bolster that offensive line that really let them down in the Super Bowl. Does that make them for sure contenders? I think so. I'll give you my thoughts on that. And finally, a little bit about the NBA. The Lakers have dropped their last 4 out of 5 games. AD is back. LeBron should be back next week. Do the Lakers have enough in the tank to get the job done? I'll share you my comments on that as well. So, hey, sit back and relax and enjoy the show. This is Clutch Sports Talk Live with me, Ryan Flowers. Let's go. Clutch Sports Talk Live with Ryan Flowers is presented by All Pro Digital Sports, the future in sports media content. Let's go. Welcome in, everyone. Hope you guys are doing well. If you're watching me right now on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter Live, man, make sure you leave a comment. Let me know what's up. How was your Monday, man? Mine's going great. It's even better now that I'm here with you guys talking about football and basketball, anything sports related. If you're watching me on Instagram, appreciate you guys there as well. Make sure you drop your questions or comments. I'll be more than happy to answer any and everything. Let me know if I'm good. Let me know if I suck. It is what it is. Hey, I like the feedback, man. It is what it is. So, but hey, before I get the show started tonight, man, make sure you go ahead and hit me up on my social media platforms. You can catch me on Instagram at clutch.sports.talk, on Facebook at Ryan Flowers, at Twitter at clutch_talk, and YouTube Clutch Sports Talk, man. YouTube. Go there right now. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that notification link. Make sure you get update on everything Clutch Sports Talk related. I'm at 93 subscribers. I'm trying to get to 100 by the end of the month, and I need you guys, man. So I'm checking in with everybody on Instagram. What's up, 313 Fitness, Max and Juan podcast here over here on Instagram, man. So make sure you guys don't miss out, man. Hey, but we got a jam-packed show in store for you guys tonight. Like I said at the top of the show, let's get straight into it, right? Let's just do it, right? So first things first, let me get this introduction here. So Tua Tagovailoa was drafted last year by the Miami Dolphins to be their quarterback of the future. Now, he had an up and down year. He got benched a few times, if I'm not mistaken, for Ryan Fitzpatrick. Now, Ryan Fitzpatrick is long gone. He's in Washington. He's with the Washington football team now. So guess what? Tua's there by himself. Now it's his job to lose, right? Well, I don't know. There are some rumblings around that people might consider that Tua might be replaced. Because guess what? This is one of the best NFL quarterback draft classes we've seen in quite some time. There are arguably 5 guys, literally 5 guys that everyone is really drooling for, dying for. You know what I mean? So, and if you haven't checked out my video recently about who I think will go 2nd overall, check that video out right now on YouTube. But we're talking about, obviously we know Trevor Lawrence won't be there, but we're talking about Zach Wilson, who more than likely is going to be a Jet, Mac Jones, who's probably going to be a 49er, but that leaves Justin Fields and Trey Lance. So do the Dolphins at the 6th spot go ahead and take him? I mean, if we're just looking at what we see now as far as the draft order is concerned, Jacksonville's going to take Trevor Lawrence. We know that. The Jets are going to take Zach Wilson. Excuse me, I'm wrong. The Dolphins are picking 3. So could they take a quarterback? Would they take a quarterback? I don't know. I've been really kind of, in the beginning of the season, I thought Tua had a chance. But then I kind of looked at it and was like, I don't know if he has it, man. I really don't. And if you're picking 3 at this point, obviously Kyle Pitts would still be on the board. And if the Dolphins really believe in Tua, maybe they go out and get a Jamar Chase, or they draft a Kyle Pitts, who arguably is one of the best talents we've had in this draft altogether. Just the fact that it's, everyone needs a quarterback. Do the Dolphins go out and get him, or do they get the weaponry? My opinion, I think, well, I don't think they believe in him. Because if they really believed in him, they wouldn't have benched him twice for Ryan Fitzpatrick. But they didn't really make a hard push for Ryan Fitzpatrick either. So does that kind of show that they really want Tua to be the guy? I don't know. But Tua does struggle a lot of the times because we don't know how good he actually really was in Alabama. I mean, really, he had a lot of success there in Alabama, but who doesn't have a lot of success in Alabama? Now, when he came into the NFL, he won one game. He was like, oh, this is real easy, yada, yada, yada. And then after that, he was getting his butt handed to him and then getting benched. He got benched against the Broncos one game. He got benched against the Raiders one game towards the end. So it's kind of like, what is it with this guy? But given the offensive talent that's in this NFL draft, do you go out and get a guy like a Kyle Pitts, Jamar Chase, Devontae Smith to really help him? It just depends on the management and what their frame of thought is. Do they feel like Tua is the guy? Because if he's the guy, then you go out and get the skill players, hands down. But if you don't, do you pass up on missing out on Justin Fields or Trey Lance or one of those guys that probably will be more than likely available at that point in time? Who knows? The Dolphins missed out on Drew Brees years ago, and maybe they're kind of looking at that like, well, do we want to miss out on another potential Hall of Fame quarterback? My boy 313 Fitness on Instagram right now, he said they got to get weapons around him first. So if he's part of the Miami Dolphins management, he's probably just saying, you know what, Tua is the guy. So let's go and get the weaponry. But here's the thing. Next year's quarterback class is not going to be great from what we've seen. Initial reports are saying it's not really a great class. So if you pass up on one of these guys this year and you suck and you're in the top picks again, you're not going to go out and get another quarterback because there's not going to be a really solid one like we have this year. So I think that's why a lot of teams maybe might be trying to move up into the top 10 of this year's draft because they know that. And the Dolphins are definitely in line right there. The Dolphins are literally, they're a quarterback away of really, really, really being a great team. Their defense is really good. Their head coaching is great. They do need some weapons. I will say that because they don't really have a lot of they have Mike Gesicki, they have Devontae Parker. Those are nice pieces, but if you can go ahead and secure yourself a true number one wide receiver and like a Jalen Waddle, Jamar Chase, or like a Kyle Pitts at tight end, maybe you go ahead and do that, right? But I don't know, man. I'm glad I'm not in the Miami Dolphins organization because if it was up to me, I would say you got to go out and get a quarterback, man. I don't really believe that much in Tua. I wish I could, but I just don't. It's a great story. He suffered the injury, came back, battled, but I just don't see it in him, man. So you guys let me know what you guys think, man. Am I just like totally off base with this one? What's up? Rowdy Roundup. They just joined Instagram, man. So it's definitely an interesting situation for the Dolphins because if you risk not getting a quarterback, you miss out, and then he's not good, then you're stuck for at least another year with who? Because who are you going to go get at that point? Quarterbacks just don't literally fall off of trees. Really great ones, they're once in a lifetime. So do they want to take that risk? We got comment already. Akeem Earl Swallows, he says, Tua doesn't have that it factor. Yeah, you're right. And I think that's what it boils down to. When you look at him, he's good, he's nice, but there's something about him he's missing something. And he just doesn't have that it factor. So I totally agree with those sentiments there. We got All Even podcaster Barry Grant Jr. He says Tua is the guy. They need to cut the BS and commit to him. Wow, that's some strong language. Cut the BS and commit to him. Well, I can't argue that point either because you drafted him, pretty high last year. So you got to go all in. If not, what are you doing? So logically, let's just assume they're committed to him, right? They're committed to him. Then you go out and get him some talent. Give him a fair chance, right? You can't say he sucks and not give him anything to work with, kind of, right? It's kind of like the situation in Dallas where, they paid Dak all this money, but now they got to, you got to give him a group of people he can really blossom with. And I think Dallas has that as well, more so than Miami at this point. So, if I had a gun to my head right now, I would have to move off Tua. I'm sorry. I just can't do it. Great story, but I just have to move off the brother because he don't have that it factor for me. And maybe I'm being overly harsh and overly critical, but the times that I watched him play, and actually I did a film session on him. It's in my YouTube channel right now. He made some good throws, but a lot of the times, man, it's like a deer in the headlights. So, but maybe he just doesn't have the talent around him, but that remains to be seen. But the great ones like the GOATs, the Tom Brady's, they find a way to get it done no matter who's back there. So interesting. We'll have to see how that develops on Thursday night. So, keep it interesting. So moving along, sticking with quarterbacks. Should the Ravens draft a quarterback and move off of Lamar Jackson. I mean, his contract is up to, if I'm not mistaken, not this year, the following year. So what do you do? What do you do if you're the Baltimore Ravens? You've had some pretty good success with him. He's won an MVP, considering the fact that teams wanted him to play wide receiver when he went to the combine, and now he became an NFL MVP, one of the best quarterbacks in the National Football League. He just finally won his first playoff game against the Titans this past playoffs. And now what do you do? Now, hear me out when I say this. Do I think they should go and draft a quarterback? No, I don't think at this moment in time you need to go and do that, because they got a good thing going on, right? The biggest problem with the Baltimore Ravens is they don't have any offensive power other than him. He's their most dynamic player, which is okay. I mean, you want your quarterback to be one of the best or most dynamic players on the field at one given point in time, but he's the only guy. They don't really have a real number one wide receiver. I mean, Hollywood Brown is nice, but he's not really doing much. He's a burner. I mean, he'll get over the top of you. They lost Willie Snead. He came to I believe he's out here in Las Vegas with the Raiders. They don't really Mark Andrews was a decent tight end, but it is what it is. So to me, when I look at the Baltimore Ravens scheme, I think honestly, could they get someone and put them in there and maybe have the same success? Absolutely. Absolutely. Because what's the biggest knock right now on Lamar Jackson? He doesn't throw the ball. When he needs to, when in critical times. I mean, you're a quarterback in the National Football League. You have to throw. And I'm not saying he can't throw, because he does throw. I mean, there's no debating that. But there's times where you just need your guy to go out there and just sling it, man. And we got Teams of More checking on Instagram. I'm going to read his comments. He's saying Lamar Jackson will win the Super Bowl. He's exciting to watch, but mobile quarterbacks don't work. It's been proven year after year. And that's a fact. That's a fact. There's a difference between being mobile and actually like being elusive, I guess. When people think of mobile quarterbacks, for me, mobility, it means like you can kind of slide in and out of the pocket. Doesn't mean you're a runner. I feel like Lamar Jackson is more of a runner than a mobile quarterback. Russell Wilson is mobile. Aaron Rodgers is mobile. Those guys, they're looking down the field. When you look at Lamar Jackson, it's like teams can scheme around him so that way they force him to actually have to throw the ball. And when he's forced to throw, he doesn't really make the best decisions. Now, they did win that playoff game against the Tennessee Titans, but it was kind of like, it is what it is. And then against the Buffalo Bills, he struggled. He struggled again, and he got hurt. So, but should they take a quarterback in this year's draft? No, I don't think so. I think he's still good enough where they can win a lot of games. They probably just need to go out and go ahead and get him like a legitimate wide receiver or tight end threat. Now, I'm looking at my chart here. Let's see. The Ravens are picking at 27. So that's later in the draft. Do they move up potentially? I don't know. There might be some decent wide receivers still left available. Maybe a Jalen Waddle might be still around. Devontae Smith might even slide by then. Who knows? We don't know, because there's a lot of talks about him. But they don't have a number one wide receiver, and I think that's what they need to address first and foremost. But do I think if anyone was to present this notion, should they go and get a quarterback? I would be like, you know what? It's not that absurd. Like, it's not like you're saying, you need to replace I don't know, like Drew Brees, or not Drew Brees, but like Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes. Perfect example. Like, that would be crazy. But the Lamar Jackson to me is still too much of a gimmicky type player. But I feel like you can move off of gimmicky players, because gimmicky players come in and out of the league each and every year. And so therefore, I think the Baltimore Ravens system they have the right guy in place. Don't get me wrong. I mean, John Harbaugh was basically on the way out before they drafted Lamar Jackson. Now, if they don't draft him, maybe they don't have the success that they've had recently, and John Harbaugh is out of a job and he's no longer in Baltimore. So it's kind of a two-way street. But to say that they need to go out and that's like their priority, no, because they actually have a decent quarterback right now. I mean, he's a former NFL MVP. It's kind of like if you have a house, a decent house, it's not a mansion, but you're trying to go out and get a mansion right now. It's like, be cool with the house that you have right now. It has toilets, it has rooms, it has walls, it has a ceiling. It's good to go. So, and I think that's what they have right now. They have a nice, decent starter house. Maybe they want to elevate themselves to maybe a mansion one day. If Lamar Jackson can show the ability to throw the ball down the field, because that's what it's all about at the end of the day in the National Football League, is can you make the throws when you need to make them, especially when the defense is basically scheming around you. We see it year in and year out. Guys like the Aaron Rodgers, the Tom Brady's, the Patrick Mahomes, they get it done when they need to. So Lamar Jackson has not shown that to me really yet. So maybe I'm being overcritical, but that's just what I think about that. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section, man. Is that crazy? Should the Ravens move on? Should they go out and get a quarterback? I don't know. All right. I told you it's heavy NFL today. So we're going to talk about the New England Patriots. There are rumors around that the Patriots might be trying to move up into the top 10 to go ahead and get them a quarterback. Now, they re-signed Cam Newton. We thought Cam Newton was going to be done in New England. The way it kind of finished out the year, really didn't go well. It started well last year for the Patriots. I, for one, thought, they would have made the playoffs. But, Cam got COVID, never really recovered. They had some other things going on. And they did have a lot of guys that missed time last year because of injuries, COVID, and some guys that sat out altogether. So their notion is that, well, we need a quarterback. And, the Patriots don't draft quarterbacks like early. So this would be very, 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 very different for them. But why not? Maybe there are talks that maybe if Trey Lance is still there, maybe they go out and get him, but he might be gone too, because maybe the Niners, they might take him over Mac Jones, or maybe Mac Jones might be available. But they definitely want to get in the top 10. So let's just talk about the top 10 teams that are in the draft right now. So we know Jacksonville's taking Trevor Lawrence. The Jets are more likely going to take Zach Wilson. Miami, we don't know for sure. So the quarterbacks are safe there. Atlanta is another team that might be like, well, do we take a quarterback or do we stay put with Matt Ryan and wait another year? Cincinnati's not going to take a quarterback. They're going to take either an offensive weapon or an offensive lineman to help protect Joe Burrow. Philadelphia is not going to take a quarterback. They're going to take somebody on the offense, maybe on the defense as well. The Detroit Lions are probably going to take, who knows who the hell what the Detroit Lions are going to do. Like, who knows? They're the Detroit Lions. Carolina, they got Sam Darnold, they got Teddy Bridgewater. They're not going to take a quarterback. And then you got the Broncos and Cowboys rounding off. The Broncos might take a quarterback, right? So out of those, and the Cowboys rounding it off, they're not going to take a quarterback. So if you're looking at the top 10, the teams that I just listed in the top 10, outside of Jacksonville and New York, you only really got three teams that might potentially take a quarterback. So if the Patriots can move up and get in there somewhere, they can get a Mac Jones or a Trey Lance, or hell, even Justin Fields. I mean, Justin Fields is sliding right now. A lot of people don't like him right now. So my boy 313 Fitness says Lions need a quarterback. Well, my brother, they're committed to Jared Goff. So I don't see them moving. I don't see them doing anything to get a quarterback. They're probably going to get an offensive tackle, probably Penei Sewell. But as far as the Patriots are concerned, if they can get somewhere, but who's going to trade out? That's what we have to look at. We don't know who might want to trade out. Maybe the Panthers are like, we're good. We can get who we probably want back, because the Patriots right now are picking at 15. Maybe the Panthers think, well, we can go to the 15 spot and still get our guy. And the Patriots say, well, we move to the 8 spot. We can for sure, we pass up the Broncos, who is one of those teams that need a quarterback, because honestly, after the Falcons, which I don't think they're going to take a quarterback, I mean, the Patriots might be in a prime position right there to go ahead and get one of the remaining quarterbacks out this class. So, and what does that do for the Patriots? Well, it does a number of things. Well, number one, the guy who they pick doesn't have to play immediately, right? Cam could still somewhat get the job done in the National Football League as long as he stays healthy, no COVID, anything like that. Now, they did go ahead and have a really, really, really solid offseason so far at free agency, getting 2 really solid tight ends. They bolstered up their offensive line. They got some wide receivers for some speed. So, Cam will have a little bit more to go to. Now, Julian Edelman retired, so okay, I get that. But, let's just be real. He wasn't really like a game changer for them anyway. Their defense should be better. They're getting a lot of guys back that did not participate in last season's, COVID year. So the guy, whoever they draft, they will be able to come in and learn and kind of be like, all right, let me watch what's going on here and be able to actually, have a good chance. Like, I say now the guys can play. Like you draft a quarterback, let them play. But it's okay. I think if you do have someone in front of them that can kind of show them the ropes, you look at like what happened to Kansas City via Alex Smith and Patrick Mahomes, excuse me. You saw what happened with them. Patrick Mahomes was able to sit out a year. Alex Smith showed him the ropes, and Alex Smith's not a bad quarterback to learn from. And Patrick Mahomes said, you know what, this is what he does, but this is what I can do better. I'm going to take what he does. And so, boom, and look what happens. He's had instant success maybe when he became a starter. So I'm not opposed to guys sitting. It just depends on the situation. But when you got guys like that are going to crummy teams, and then they have to start. If they're not like a solid, like a Andrew Luck or one of those types of guys that can play anywhere, like even Trevor Lawrence, it's not going to work out well for them. So I am looking forward to see what the Patriots do, because they do not make a lot of moves like this. They're typically picking towards the end of the rounds of the draft. So for them to move up from the 15 to the somewhere in the 10, possibly the 8 spot, ahead of Denver, because I think they got to get ahead of Denver, because I think Denver probably is in the market for sure for a quarterback, but we won't know until Thursday night when this all takes place. But mark my words, don't be on the lookout for that, because you never know. You never know what Belichick is up to. What's up, Darian? What's going on there? So we'll just have to wait and see for that. So, all right, moving on. Kansas City Chiefs, man. Kansas City Chiefs. They're not playing about their offensive line. Like, you know what? We saw what happened. It was very noteworthy what happened to them in the Super Bowl. Patrick Mahomes ran for like 500 miles, right? So what they go and do? So they cut or release the 2 guys that they had, and then they go ahead and sign Joe Tooney. He played for the Browns, I think. Oh, no, not for the Browns. Where did Joe Tooney come from? Off the top of my head, I forgot. Oh yeah, he was a former Patriot. That's right. And then when they go ahead and get Kyle Long, he's coming out of retirement, but still pretty decent. And then they go ahead and trade for Orlando Brown Jr. to help finish out their offensive line. Now that's a good offensive line. I mean, one thing I will say about football, man. One thing. What's up, my brother Douglas Lewis Brooks, man? Shout out to you and your family, man. Prayers. The offensive line is the most important group in football, right? A lot of people, the quarterback is important, of course, but your offense and defensive lines really win and lose you games. Now, it was evident in the Super Bowl. Why? Because guess what? Tampa Bay was able to get after Patrick Mahomes in a way that we haven't really seen him be kind of get after, not getting after, gotten after. Now he's been sacked, he's been pressured, but not like that. And he still played a hell of a game for the most part, considering. But still, if you don't have protection up front, you're not going to win that game. If we flipped it and said, all right, Brady, you play for the Chiefs that day, Mahomes played for the Buccaneers that night, it'll be the same thing. The Buccaneers end up winning because they were able to get after the quarterback. Because at the end of the day, when we strip everything down with football, you take away stats, you take away scheme, you take away touchdowns, tackling, everything that we know about football. It's really simple. And this is almost like this is up there with the secret to life, because we all want to know what the secret to life is. But the secret to winning football games is, can you protect your quarterback and can you get after the other team's quarterback? That's it. That's it. Secret right there. I should market that, because essentially that's what it's all about, right? Now there's other intricacies in the game, but if you do that well, you do that at an elite level, you're going to win a lot of football games in any level, whether it's youth, high school, collegiately, professional. You do that, you're going to be just fine. And I think the Chiefs are like, you know what? We don't need to now we don't need to go into the draft to go and get anybody like that. We can go ahead and pick, we can bolster our defense now. We can go out and get another corner, maybe another linebacker. So now where does that put the Chiefs? They're still the top team in the AFC. I don't really care what anybody else has to say. I mean, they're still the top team. Buffalo is nice, but I don't know if they'll still have the firepower to compete with Kansas City, because that's what it's going to boil down to. Kansas City's defense is good enough to slow you down and stop you. They're not going to shut you down all the way, but if they can slow you down to 20-something points, and as long as they're able to get off, which more than likely they are, because now they have protection, they're still going to win a lot of games, and they should still be the top team. And I can see maybe Tampa and Kansas City meeting in the playoff again, and in the Super Bowl again. Now, like, that's tough. We know football it fluctuates. Some teams come out of nowhere and boom. But if you look at my boy Douglas Lewis Brooks Jr. says, you know what, they could care less about draft picks, right? And you're absolutely right. I mean, they're at this point, a team like that, they're just going to be picking. I mean, they're picking 31st. They're picking basically who's the best on the board at that point. Same thing with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I was telling someone the other day, it's like those teams like that, they don't really have like a specific need. Like, man, they might have some like little tiny bit needs, but they're at that point, they're like, all right, we're 31st. Yeah, we like this guy. Let's bring him in. And he can learn behind somebody else or play, So we have to wait and see what happens with that. But the Chiefs, for sure, man, have definitely solidified themselves, especially on the offensive line. And I think, the road to the Super Bowl is going to go through Kansas City again for the third year in a row. And believe me, there's a bitter taste left in the mouth of the Chiefs after that Super Bowl loss where they didn't even score a touchdown. A touchdown they didn't score. So I don't know. You guys let me know what you think on that, man. But definitely the Chiefs. Here's the thing about Orlando Brown. So he went to Oklahoma. I forgot. I think he dropped in the draft because he had some issues and stuff, like didn't have a great combine, et cetera, et cetera. But for those who don't know, his dad was a really good player in the NFL too. So he has that pedigree. So he goes to Baltimore, balls out, one of the better offensive lines there too as well. Has some problems in Baltimore towards the end here, so they ended up moving him. But for sure, man, that's a big pickup because he's still young. He still hasn't been paid yet. So that's the other thing they're going to have to worry about him here in the future is paying him a lot of money. So because I believe, is he going to play left tackle? I'm not sure. I have to look that up. Yeah, he's going to play. He's going to play left tackle. And so he's going to get left tackle money. So that's why they're going to have to come out with that cash, with that cheese, man, and pay that dude because Orlando Brown is definitely worth that money. And he's definitely worth what they did. Because I don't even know, what did they even trade him for? Like they got him for peanuts because the Ravens were just like, it's all good. We'll just, we'll give him up and, we'll move on from there. So yeah, that's pretty simple. All right. Well, we got another comment here. So yeah, he's a Pro Bowl player. He's an immediate upgrade to any team. Absolutely, Douglas. Can't agree. I mean, I will agree actually because he's good. He's good. And I like watching offensive line, like the movement on the line. Like, that's one of my favorite things to watch. And he's a good one. Just people slept on him because he had a bad combine. So anyway. All right, last topic of the night, man. We're going to transition a little bit from the NFL to a little bit of the NBA. Now, Saturday, I believe it was, the Lakers dropped another one to the Dallas Mavericks. So they've lost 4 out of their last 5 games. AD returned last week, Thursday, I believe, only played like 15 minutes. I think he only had like 6 points. Played a lot more minutes on Saturday night, if I'm not mistaken. They had a good lead. They were up by 17 at one point. Luka goes off. The Mavericks figured out what they need to do against the Lakers, and is the pick and roll game, the screen and roll. They had no answer for that, and they were able to come back and win that game. But AD still feels good. If you read the quote down there below, he feels like he put anyone up against them at this point. And don't get me wrong, I will too. I think right now, if the Lakers hang on and finish at the 5th seed, they'll match up with the Denver Nuggets, which I think they'll beat. They'll beat in the first round because LeBron will be back. AD will have some games under his belt, and will be good. I think they'll be good. I think the Lakers are still the team in the West right now to beat. And that's crazy because look, they're 5th in the West. Have you ever heard of a team in the 5th seed talking about being the potential NBA champions? It doesn't happen that often. But when you have a superstar in LeBron, regardless of what LeBron does in his politics, that's a whole nother topic. That's a whole nother issue, which I won't get into tonight. But he's hopefully he learns from some of the stuff that he says. But my biggest concern with the Lakers still right now is the screen and roll, because they don't have an athletic big like they used to have in last season, like a JaVale McGee and a Dwight Howard, and they struggle. Marc Gasol cannot play the screen and roll game. Andre Drummond is still probably getting his feet under him. Is he going to show up when it's bright lights time? Remember, Andre Drummond has not really played a meaningful basketball game in the NBA since he's joined. Okay, he's been in the league quite some time. Started with the Pistons and went to Cleveland, but they've never been in playoff contention. Hell, yet alone championship contention. So we're gonna have to see what happens with him. But I do miss the fact that the Lakers do not have a Dwight or a JaVale McGee in the lineup. Those athletic bigs, you know what I mean? So but I think when LeBron comes back, that'll help their their defense has been solid. Like literally, the games that they've lost, it's not like they've been blown out. Like they've been in a lot of games. They just don't have the offensive power. But with AD back, LeBron will be back. My boy Douglas says Lakers are just trying to get out of rhythm. They have to pound the ball inside, and everyone stop trying to shoot outside, including AD. Yeah, Well, that's the game today. Big men don't know how to be big men anymore. They like to face up and shoot from the perimeter. I mean, that's just the NBA. But you still need guys like a JaVale McGee, a Dwight Howard, true bigs that can defend the paint. And I mean, don't get me wrong, AD can defend the paint for sure. And he's getting his win back too. So I think the Lakers will be just fine. And I totally agree with Anthony Davis is that you match them up with anybody in the West right now, they're still a legitimate team. They're still the best team. And LeBron should be back next week. He posted a video on his Instagram yesterday showing him working out, getting back into shape, doing his thing so that way he can get back on the courts. Hopefully he comes back sometime next week and the Lakers can take off from there and start really, 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 really ascending and getting ready for the playoff because that's right around the corner, man. But yeah, All Even says, I'm sick of help is coming mindset, but habits last if they aren't addressed. And that's true too. I understand that. I mean, because if you're like a Kyle Kuzma or anybody else on that roster, you're like, all right, well, yeah, we lost tonight, but LeBron's coming. And you might be in a game and LeBron and them are all back and you're like, well, he's just going to take over. Like, no, you still got to play the game. And I think this was a prime opportunity for a lot of these guys to step up. And so I can agree with you on your sentiments there, Barry, that this help is coming mindset, definitely. And I started with the coaching, but I'm pretty sure when LeBron is back on the court, he'll get these guys ready to go. My boy 313 Fitness on Instagram, he says, Lakers will be fine as long as AD can still be healthy. So, yeah. So, yes, I still think the Lakers are the guys or the team to beat going into the playoffs. But like my boy Barry said, you got to get out of that mindset. You have to mentally lock in, which I think LeBron will be able to do that. And that's why he's LeBron. I mean, he's going to do that. He's going to get these guys mentally locked and loaded for the upcoming playoffs, which is right around the corner. I think the season ends in, a week or two, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe longer than that. But anyway, so that's it, man. That's my show for tonight, man. I hope you guys enjoyed it. My next show will be on Wednesday night at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on the same places where you're watching me live right now on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter Live. Yeah, I forgot the last one. So other than that, man, hey, big news Thursday. I'm going to be doing a draft reaction show. So make sure you're watching the draft at home and also following and listening to me as we have reactions. We're going to have some guests on. They're going to give me some comments and some commentary and some analysis about the draft. So it's going to be really, really fun. And actually, the draft is where all this started. For those who don't know my story, my first live, the first thing I ever thought about going live was on the NFL draft. So it's almost a year ago today that this all got started, whole Clutch Sports Talk thing. So it's actually a meaningful day for me. So hopefully you guys could be there to enjoy that with me. But other than that, man, like I said, see you guys on Wednesday at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We're going to have fun, man. Douglas, appreciate everyone who came by today. Instagram, we had 313 Fitness, Darian, it's Erica, Team Zamora. Who else we had in here? Rowdy Roundup. We got Max and Juan Cast, All Even Podcast, Douglas Lewis Brooks, Errol Swazo, man. Thank you guys. Oh, D Sports Ledger was in the house as well, too. So we had a good show. So I'm truly blessed. Thank you guys. You guys have a great evening. And like I always say, until next time, man, this is Clutch Sports Talk Live with me, Ryan Flowers. Never settle till the work is done. Peace out, guys. Clutch Sports Talk Live with Ryan Flowers is presented by All Pro Digital Sports, the future in sports media content.